The screenshot came from my coworker Julia at 2:15 on a Tuesday afternoon. No message, just an image. A dating profile. The photo showed my husband Harrison at the beach, the same photo from our trip to Maui last summer. The bio read, "Recently divorced dad of 2 looking for a fresh start. Investment banker who loves hiking, wine, and honest conversations. My ex and I grew apart. No drama, just ready to find someone who gets me." I stared at my phone for a full minute before the words made sense. Recently divorced. My husband was advertising himself as recently divorced while our 10-year anniversary was 3 weeks away. Julia's next text came through. "I'm so sorry. I thought you should know. I matched with him before I realized it was Harrison. Want me to send more screenshots?" I typed back, "Send everything." She did. "My name is Audrey Walsh. I married Harrison Walsh in a garden ceremony 10 years ago this November. We have 2 daughters, Emma, who's 8, and Lily, who's 6. Harrison works in private equity, travels occasionally for work, makes excellent money. We live in a 4-bedroom house in Westchester with a golden retriever named Copper. From the outside, we're the picture of suburban success. Apparently, from the inside of his phone, we're divorced and he's a single dad looking for love." Julia sent me 6 more screenshots. His profile was detailed. He listed his height, his salary range, his hobbies. He had 7 photos. 3 I recognized from our family vacations with the kids cropped out, 2 from his gym that I'd never seen, and 2 professional headshots he must have paid for specifically for this. His prompts were carefully crafted. My simple pleasures, morning coffee, Sunday farmers markets, making my kids laugh. I'm looking for someone genuine who wants to build something real. The key to my heart is honesty and good communication. I read that last one 3 times.
That wasn't the worst part. Julia sent me their message thread. He'd been talking to her for 2 days before she realized who he was. Their conversation was flirty but not explicit. He'd complimented her smile, she'd asked about his kids, he'd said they lived with him half the time and with their mother the other half. "We have a good co-parenting relationship," he'd written. "Very amicable split." Julia had suggested coffee. Harrison had said he'd love to but was traveling for work this week. They'd agreed to reconnect next Tuesday. That was today. He was supposed to be at the office. I checked our shared calendar. It showed a dinner meeting with clients tonight until 8. I wondered how many other matches he had, how many other women he was telling our marriage had ended amicably. I called my best friend Rebecca. She answered on the second ring. "What's wrong? You sound weird." I sent her the screenshots. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "That absolute piece of shit." I appreciated the solidarity, but I needed strategy. "He thinks we're getting divorced. He's already living like we are." Rebecca made an angry noise. "You're not divorced. You're married. You have kids together. What's his endgame here?" I'd been wondering the same thing. "I think he's testing the waters, seeing what's out there before he commits to actually leaving." Rebecca was quiet again. "So what are you going to do?" I thought about it. I could confront him directly. I could hire a lawyer quietly. I could do a dozen rational, mature things. Instead, I said, I'm going to catfish my own husband. I created the profile that night after the kids went to bed. I used photos from my college roommate's Instagram with her permission. She lived in California now and looked nothing like me anymore. Blonde where I was brunette, taller, more athletic. Her name was Madison. I made the profile name Maddie Cooper. I wrote a bio designed to be exactly Harrison's type. Marketing director who loves travel, good wine, and deep conversations. Recently single after a long relationship. Not looking for games, just someone real. I used Madison's job, her actual interests, her real photos. Everything was borrowed, but authentic. Then I started swiping. I found Harrison's profile in under 10 minutes. I'd expected it to take longer. But apparently he'd set his radius wide and his age range wider. I was 34. Madison was 31, well within his parameters. I swiped right. We matched instantly. My heart was pounding. I waited 5 minutes before sending a message. Love your smile. You seem like someone who has his life together. It was generic enough to be believable, specific enough to be flattering. Harrison responded in under 2 minutes.
Thank you. You have a great energy in your photos. What do you do? I replied as Maddie. We messaged back and forth for an hour. He told me about his job, his kids, his divorce. It was hard but necessary. We wanted different things. I'm just grateful we could end things respectfully for our daughter's sake. That's really mature. A lot of people can't manage that. He sent back, I think when you really love someone, you want them to be happy, even if it's not with you. I had to put the phone down for a minute. This was the same man who'd forgotten our anniversary 2 years running. We messaged for 3 days. Harrison was attentive, charming, curious. He asked Maddie about her work, her hobbies, her family. He sent good morning texts. He made jokes that were actually funny. He was putting in effort I hadn't seen in years of our marriage. On day 4, he suggested meeting in person. I know it's fast, but I feel like we have a real connection. Would you want to grab dinner this weekend? I'd been waiting for this. I typed back, I'd love that. Do you have a favorite place? He suggested 3 restaurants. One of them was Amélie, the French bistro where we'd had our first anniversary dinner, where we were supposed to have our 10th anniversary dinner in 2.5 weeks. I wrote, Amélie sounds perfect. I've been wanting to try it. He sent back, great choice. How about next Saturday at 7? That was our anniversary, November 16th, 7 p.m., I confirmed. That's when I realized he'd forgotten our anniversary entirely. He was planning a date with a stranger on the exact night we were supposed to celebrate 10 years of marriage. I checked our shared calendar again. November 16th was blank. No anniversary dinner, no reminder, nothing. I sat in our bedroom, in the house we'd bought together, and felt something cold settle in my chest. This wasn't just about him being on dating apps. This was about him completely erasing our marriage while still living in it. I went downstairs where Harrison was watching TV. Hey, do we have plans November 16th? He didn't look up from the screen. Don't think so. Why? I kept my voice casual. Just wondering. It's a Saturday. He shrugged. I might have drinks with some guys from work, but nothing confirmed. He'd already planned his alibi for when he didn't come home from his date. I told him we should do something for our anniversary. He looked confused for a second, then recovered. Oh, right, November 16th. Yeah, we should definitely do something. Want me to make a reservation somewhere? I said yes. He pulled out his phone and I watched him pretend to look for restaurants. Most places are probably booked by now. How about we do something the weekend after? I agreed, sweetly. He looked relieved. The next day, I checked his phone while he was in the shower. He'd messaged Maddie, looking forward to Saturday. I made us a reservation at Amélie for 7. He was planning to show up to the same restaurant at the same time for 2 different dates. One with his fake identity, meeting Maddie, one he'd just told me we'd postpone, except I had no intention of postponing. I called Amélie that afternoon. I spoke to the manager, a woman named Claire who'd served us at least a dozen times over the years. Hi, Claire. This is Audrey Walsh. I need to arrange something unusual for my anniversary dinner on the 16th. I explained the situation. She was quiet for a moment, then said, That's absolutely insane. What do you need from us? I told her. She agreed immediately. We'll seat him and his date in the main dining room. We'll seat you at your usual table by the window. I'll personally make sure you have a perfect view of each other. I thanked her. She said, Honey, men like that deserve exactly what they get. We'll take care of you. I hung up feeling validated in a way I hadn't expected. The next 2 weeks were strange. Harrison came home every night, had dinner with the kids, helped with homework, kissed me goodnight. We were living our normal life while he planned to meet another woman on our anniversary, and I planned to catch him doing it. He messaged Maddie every day. The conversations got more flirtatious. He sent her a photo of himself in a suit. "Client dinner tonight. Wish you were here instead." Maddie replied, "Soon. Saturday can't come fast enough." He sent a heart emoji. I screenshotted everything. My lawyer would need documentation. Rebecca asked me if I was sure about this plan. "You could just confront him with the profile. You don't have to do the whole dramatic reveal." I considered it. He'll just deny it or minimize it, say it was a joke or that he wasn't going to actually meet anyone. This way, there's no ambiguity. November 16th arrived. I spent the morning with the girls at their soccer games. Harrison joined us, cheered from the sidelines, bought them ice cream afterward. The picture of a devoted dad. At 3 p.m., he said he was going to the gym. I knew he was actually getting ready for his date. He came back at 5 looking freshly groomed. He showered again, put on cologne, dressed in dark jeans and a button-down I'd bought him last Christmas. At 6:30, he kissed me on the cheek. "Going to meet Jason and Mike for those drinks I mentioned. Don't wait up." I smiled. "Have fun. Don't drink too much." He was out the door by 6:45. I'd already arranged for Rebecca to watch the girls. I got ready carefully. Black dress, heels, hair down, makeup precise. I looked good, better than I had in months. Rebecca arrived at 7. "You look incredible. Go get him." I drove to Amelie and arrived at 7:15. Claire greeted me at the door. "He's here. Been here since 6:55. He's at table 12 with the blonde woman." I followed her gaze. There he was, Harrison, in the same outfit he just left our house wearing, sitting across from a woman who wasn't me. Except it wasn't actually Maddie either. It was Julia, my coworker, wearing a blonde wig and Madison's style of clothes. I'd asked her to be my stand-in because I needed to be myself tonight, not playing a character. Harrison wouldn't recognize Julia. They'd only met once at a company party 2 years ago, and she looked completely different with blonde hair. Claire seated me at our usual table directly in Harrison's line of sight if he bothered to look up. He didn't. He was too focused on his date. I watched them for 20 minutes. Harrison was animated, leaning forward, laughing at whatever Julia was saying. He'd ordered wine, a nice bottle we'd shared on previous anniversaries. He was using all his best material, the charming stories, the self-deprecating humor, the intense eye contact. I'd seen this version of Harrison before, when we were dating, when he was trying to impress me, before marriage and kids and routine dulled everything to beige. Now, here he was, performing that same role for someone he thought was a stranger. Julia played her part perfectly. She laughed at his jokes, asked interested questions, touched his hand across the table once. Harrison lit up. This was going exactly how he'd hoped. At 7:45, I stood up. I walked slowly across the restaurant toward their table. Harrison saw me when I was about 10 feet away. His face went through several expressions in rapid succession: confusion, recognition, panic, and something that might have been calculation as he tried to figure out how to explain this. I stopped at their table. Julia looked up with perfectly performed surprise. "Oh my God, Audrey? What are you doing here?" Harrison's mouth opened, but no sound came out. I smiled at Julia. "Having dinner. You?" Julia gestured at Harrison. "I'm on a date, actually. This is Harrison. Harrison, this is Audrey. She works at my company." Harrison found his voice. "Audrey, this is... I can explain." I tilted my head. "Please do. I'd love to hear how you explain being on a date on our 10th wedding anniversary while I'm having dinner alone at our favorite restaurant." The tables around us had gone quiet. People were definitely listening now. Harrison stood up.
Can we talk privately? I shook my head. No, I think we can talk right here. You owe your date an explanation too. I looked at Julia.
I should tell you, Harrison's not actually divorced. We're very much married. Have been for 10 years as of today. We have 2 daughters together, Eva and Lily. They're 8 and 6. Julia's face registered shock. She was good at this. You told me you were divorced. You said it was amicable. Harrison held up his hands. This is a misunderstanding. Audrey and I are separated. We're getting divorced. I just haven't filed the papers yet. I pulled out my phone.
That's interesting because I never agreed to a separation. And these messages you sent to Maddie, that's the name you knew her by, say you're recently divorced, not separated. I showed Julia screenshots of Harrison's messages, his profile claiming to be divorced, his story about the amicable split and the co-parenting arrangement. Julia read them and stood up. I can't believe you lied to me. She looked at me. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I nodded. I know you didn't. That's kind of the point. Harrison was red now. You catfished me? You set this up? I corrected him. I didn't catfish you. My friend Julia agreed to meet you using photos from my college roommate Madison, who gave permission. You catfished yourself by creating an entire false identity claiming to be divorced. I gestured around the restaurant. And you chose to do it here, at our anniversary dinner, at the restaurant where we celebrated our first year of marriage. His face went from red to white. Today's our anniversary? I laughed. It wasn't a kind sound. You forgot. You actually forgot. You were so busy planning dates with strangers, you forgot we've been married for exactly 10 years today. Claire appeared at my elbow. Excuse me, but we have a special anniversary dessert prepared for table 9. Should I bring it out now? I looked at Harrison. What do you think? Should we have our anniversary dessert? Or would that be awkward given you're currently on a date with someone else? Harrison sat down heavily. He looked around at the watching diners, at Julia gathering her purse, at me standing over him in the black dress I'd worn on our first date 10 years and 9 months ago. I don't know what to say. I sat down in the chair Julia had vacated. Start with the truth. When did you plan to tell me about the divorce you decided we're getting? He ran his hand through his hair. I don't know. Things have been bad between us for a while. I nodded. So instead of talking to me about it, you created a dating profile, told strangers we were already divorced, and started looking for your replacement while still living in our house and sleeping in our bed? He didn't answer. Claire brought out the dessert, chocolate mousse with Happy Anniversary written in gold leaf. She placed it in front of me, not in the middle of the table. The gesture wasn't subtle. I took a bite. It was excellent. Harrison watched me. What happens now? I pulled out a folder I'd been keeping in my bag. Now you get served. I've already filed for divorce. Real divorce, not the fictional one you've been advertising. My lawyer sent the papers to your office this afternoon, but I wanted to give you these copies in person. I slid the folder across the table. He opened it. His face changed as he read. You're asking for full custody? I nodded. With supervised visitation until you complete a psychological evaluation. Turns out, judges don't love it when fathers use dating apps to pretend their kids only live with them half-time when they actually live with them full-time. I took another bite of dessert. I'm also asking for the house, 60% of your retirement accounts, and child support calculated on your actual salary, including bonuses. Harrison looked up from the papers. This is vindictive. I shook my head. This is proportional. You tried to start dating while still married. You forgot our anniversary. You created an elaborate fiction about our family to attract other women. You were going to keep doing it until you found someone worth leaving for. I finished the dessert. I'm just accelerating your timeline. You wanted out, now you're out. I stood up. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Claire already charged the bill to my credit card. Consider it my anniversary gift to you." I walked out of Amelie with my head high. Behind me, I heard Harrison trying to explain to the remaining diners that it wasn't what it looked like. But it was exactly what it looked like. That was the whole point. Rebecca was waiting at my house when I got home. The girls were asleep. She'd made tea. How did it go? I told her everything. She smiled grimly. "Good. He deserved that," I agreed. "The question is what he deserves next." My lawyer had been very clear about my options. Washington was a no-fault divorce state, but the dating app profile while married showed intent to commit adultery, which could affect custody and division of assets. I had screenshots of everything. Messages where Harrison told multiple women he was divorced, his profile claiming single dad status, his conversations planning dates while married. It was all evidence of deception at minimum and potential fraud at worst. Rebecca asked if I felt guilty about the public confrontation. A little, but also he was going to keep doing this until someone caught him. At least this way he knows he's caught. The next morning, Harrison came by the house to pick up some clothes. I'd had the locks changed overnight. Rebecca's brother was a locksmith and owed her a favor. Harrison knocked for 5 minutes before calling me. "Audrey, open the door. I need my stuff." I texted back, "Your stuff is in the garage. Code is our anniversary date since you seemed to have trouble remembering it last night." He got his clothes and left without trying to come inside. My lawyer called that afternoon. He's retained counsel. They want to mediate before this goes to court. I asked what they were offering. She said, joint custody, 50-50 asset split, standard support calculations. I told her that wasn't acceptable. "We're going to court. I want the judge to see the dating profiles." The divorce took 7 months. Harrison fought the custody arrangement, but the judge agreed that supervised visitation was appropriate given his demonstrated willingness to deceive the children about their family structure. He got every other weekend with a court-appointed supervisor for the first 6 months. After that, we'd reassess. I got the house and 70% of his retirement accounts. The judge called his behavior a fundamental breach of trust that extended beyond the marriage to the children. Harrison's lawyer tried to argue that his dating profile wasn't grounds for punitive asset division. My lawyer showed the court his messages to 17 different women over 4 months. The judge was not impressed. Julia and I became actual friends after the anniversary dinner. She felt terrible about her initial match with Harrison, even though she'd had no idea who he was at first. "I should have recognized him from your Facebook photos," she said. I told her it wasn't her fault. He was counting on anonymity. That's how these things work. She asked if I had really used Madison's photos for the fake profile. I had. Madison thought the whole thing was hilarious and offered to testify if needed. "I'll tell any judge that you had my full permission to borrow my identity to catch your lying husband." It didn't come to that, but I appreciated the solidarity. 6 months after the divorce was final, Rebecca sent me a screenshot. Harrison had a new dating profile on a different app. Same bio. Recently divorced dad looking for someone genuine. The photos were new, but the script was identical. Honest conversations, amicable split, fresh start. Rebecca asked if I was going to do anything about it. I thought about it and decided no. He's actually divorced now. Let him find whatever he's looking for. She asked if I was dating yet. I wasn't. I was busy rebuilding my life, focusing on my daughters, figuring out who I was outside of a marriage that had apparently ended long before I realized it. Emma asked me once why Daddy didn't live with us anymore. She was 9 by then, old enough to understand divorce in theory, even if the reality was harder. I told her the truth in age-appropriate terms. Daddy and I wanted different things, and we weren't making each other happy anymore. She asked if it was her fault. I pulled her close. "No, baby, never. This is about grown-up stuff that has nothing to do with you or Lily." She seemed satisfied with that.
Lily, younger and more adaptable, just wanted to know if she still got to keep her room. Kids are resilient in ways that surprise me. I ran into Harrison at Emma's school play 8 months after the divorce. He was there with his supervisor, sitting 3 rows behind me. He looked smaller somehow, tired. We didn't speak. After the play, he approached me carefully.
She was great, I agreed. She practiced her lines every night for a month. He hesitated. I'm sorry for everything, for forgetting our anniversary, for the profiles, for all of it. I looked at him carefully. Are you sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught? He thought about it. Both, honestly. I appreciated the honesty, even if it was years too late. The girls need consistency from you. Can you give them that? He said yes. I chose to believe him. People ask me sometimes if I regret the anniversary dinner confrontation, if it was too harsh, too public, too dramatic. I tell them the same thing every time. Harrison made his choices privately for months while maintaining the appearance of a happy marriage. All I did was make his private choices public. There's nothing cruel about transparency. There's nothing vindictive about letting someone face the natural consequences of their own deception. He chose to pursue other women while married. He chose to forget our anniversary. He chose to meet his date at our restaurant. I just chose to be there when he did it. Rebecca says I handled it perfectly. Julia agrees. My lawyer called it the most well-documented divorce case she'd ever seen. My mother, who never liked Harrison, said she wished she'd been there to watch. But the person whose opinion mattered most was mine, and I was satisfied. Not happy exactly. Divorce is rarely happy even when necessary, but satisfied that I'd acted with integrity. I didn't scream or throw things or make threats. I simply showed up at the place I was supposed to be on the day I was supposed to be there, and let reality do the rest. Harrison destroyed his own marriage. I just made sure we both acknowledged it on the same night. The girls are 12 and 10 now. Harrison sees them regularly, no longer supervised. He pays his child support on time. We coordinate school pickups and summer camps like civil co-parents. He might even be dating someone seriously. Emma mentioned a woman named Sarah who makes good pancakes. I don't ask for details. It's not my business anymore. I'm dating someone myself, an architect named James who's never been married and thinks the anniversary dinner story is both appalling and somehow admirably executed. You really made a reservation at your own anniversary dinner to catch your husband on a date? I confirmed. He shook his head with something like awe. That's cold-blooded. I corrected him. That's just showing up where I said I'd be. Harrison's the one who tried to be in 2 places at once. I still think about that night sometimes. The look on Harrison's face when he recognized me. The moment he realized I'd orchestrated everything. The way his whole carefully constructed narrative collapsed in under 5 minutes. There's a particular kind of justice in watching someone face the immediate consequences of their choices. No time to prepare a story, no opportunity to spin the narrative. Just the raw reality of being caught exactly where you shouldn't be, doing exactly what you claimed you weren't doing. Harrison wanted to be divorced while staying married. I simply made his wish come true in the most literal way possible. He's divorced now. Really divorced. No longer the fictional status he was advertising, but the actual legal reality. And I'm free. Not just legally, but actually free from a marriage where my husband forgot our anniversary because he was too busy planning dates with strangers. People say revenge is a dish best served cold. I don't think what I did was revenge. Revenge implies punishment beyond the natural consequences. What I did was create accountability. I made sure Harrison had to face both versions of himself, the married man and the divorced man he was pretending to be, at the exact same time in the exact same place. That's not revenge. That's just reality. A particularly well-timed, carefully coordinated version of reality, but reality nonetheless.
He destroyed our marriage over months of secret dating profiles and forgotten anniversaries. I just made sure the ending matched the behavior. No more secrets, no more lies.
Just the truth, served at 7 p.m. on November 16th at our favorite French bistro with chocolate mousse and gold leaf for dessert. Happy anniversary to us both.
You've just stepped into her revenge side, where every wound finds its justice, and every silence ends with truth. If her story struck a chord, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive. Another secret waits in the next video. See how her revenge begins.